Okay, now I'm recording.
Well, every 1-year-old to me, but they're not that appreciated.
Well, to have good memory.
I mean, you can't just leave the fucker at home, you know?
So I have good memories.
Okay, everybody. Hey, guys. We'll actually start. We'll just go ahead and start. So go ahead and sit down, and then hopefully Liz shows up in the next like 10 minutes.
Boy.
All right. Welcome to the next meeting of TigerDev. So today is going to be a Godot tutorial once Liz shows up. But first, we have a project pitch that Jackson is going to give because he couldn't make it last week. So you can come up here.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go back. Wait,
Oh, I'm tired.
Aw. Thank you.
Trust the process.
Yeah, just trust the process, it'll all work out. So, okay, behold, my really cool idea that is not stupid in the slightest. Okay, I was posing for the picture. Anyway, let's see,
Just click.
Okay. So, this is what happened. I was kind of out of the loop for a few weeks, so I was pretty busy. But whenever I got a Discord thing that we had a game pitch to do the next day, I thought we had to make an idea for a game. I didn't realize that it's like we just pitched a game that already existed. So what happened was I ended up making my own concept for a game. And this is it. And again, feast your eyes for this. It'll be like the greatest pitch of all time. Behold, the fantastic Birdman. And this is an actual picture from a really great comic. It's called Super Angry Birds comic, by the way. It's great. Yeah, it's actually real. Anyway. Yes, I got plot. So you play as a superhero named Birdman who defends a city named Bram. He was given his powers by the ancient dinosaur god Dominius after his master, the Red Rider, vanished. His home gets attacked by a mysterious AI deploying robots to eliminate the bird race, and he must get to the bottom of what happened and try to find his master. And don't judge me, I was short on time and sleep deprived.
Sorry, this sounds so very listenable.
Thank you very much.
When you're sleep deprived, that's when the best ideas come.
Exactly.
It's like you were okay on that one. And what type of game this would be? I was thinking probably, yeah, Mario on drugs probably. So probably. Yeah, I was thinking like, yeah, I was thinking probably be like 2D, have like worlds in it, like collectibles, levels, bosses, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, this isn't done yet. Again, this is a concept made at the very last minute, so it's subject to change. This is just the main idea right now. And how I got this idea. So I'm a big fan of Angry Birds, and I had this comic called the Super Angry Birds that did not look cursed at all. And I figured that, hey, it would be a great source of inspiration, so I used it. I got the name from the city, Fram, from my advisor, Mr. Frammel. His legacy will live on now. And I figured making the enemies AI kind of makes sense since, well, AI, we don't really know how advanced it is just yet. It's growing more and more by the day. It's pretty mysterious, so I figured that would work out well. And in conclusion, yeah.
You know how many levels are gonna have?
More than one.
Epic.
Yes.
Amazing.
If you're interested in joining his group, just talk to him after the meeting.
Thank you, Willis.
All right.
That's hilarious.
Okay, well now Liz isn't here yet, so
That is
Yes.
super short.
Who has the best knowledge of it?
well, I didn't know how long that would take, so. Oh yeah, by the way, we've changed November 11th to a dev talk. Hopefully that works out. We'll either have one developer from the AAA industry or multiple. So
Oh, yeah.
we'll see how that goes. Yeah. Yeah, next week is a Unity tutorial that I'm leading, but I know nothing about Godot, so
If she doesn't show up.
Hooray.
Yeah, I think it's.
All right, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so this is Godot. And basically, the big thing with it is here's our like kind of main pros, and I'll sum it up for you real quick. For one, it's open source, so all the code for this is like basically out there. And so if you as a developer for some reason are like, I like this engine, but I want to code it to do something else or something like that, A, you can just take the code and do it. And B, you can also create these little applications and stuff that can run with Godot to basically like do all sorts of extra things. And additionally, you have the asset library, which Godot has inbuilt, kind of like Unity and a lot of other guys, where there's tons of people who make all these templates that can do all sorts of stuff that you went, wait, I can do that? You can in fact do it. If someone has like made one of these, you can do a MIDI piano demo. Put a MIDI piano in there if you want to. I don't know, make a game based on having a MIDI piano. That could be cool. But either way, that's the kind of one of the big benefits is because it's open source like that, there is a really big community of very like techie people who are like really big and constantly trying to create little new stuff. And because it's open source, the Godot like main team will like all the time, if someone makes something really good, just be like, okay, we're just gonna put it in the engine now. And that's where a good chunk of a lot of updates come from, is just someone in the community made something really cool and the main team said, let's put that in the engine. And they just go and put it in the engine. This also means that in terms of like software issues, in terms of copyright and other things, there's nothing. The licensing unto which Godot works off of is essentially if you make a game on it, the profits you get are yours. They're not going to have to end up going a certain amount to any other company or anything like that. It really is a great engine for if you're like, I want to make some little indie games and, you know, I want to just make some crazy stuff with it and not have to worry about, you know, copyright, proprietary software limitations and all sorts of things. So if that's your jam, like it is for me, then it is very wonderful, cool. So to get to it, I will open up this one. Oh, this one I downloaded 4.1. Well, let's see if it'll work anyway with me. There we are. Oh, all right. So this is the screen that you probably will end up opening up. This is the script screens. This is where scripts are stored. And you're like, okay, well, how do the scripts work? Well, let's go back to the basics. We'll go over to 2D here. And here is our little preset thing. It looks like this is where the menu and everything are. And as you can see, these little bars right around it, I don't know if you can, yeah, you can see it pretty well on the screen, are basically kind of telling you an idea of like how the screen is. So it gives you an idea of kind of proportion things and all that. But let me see if I can find it. Here we are. So in the scene section here, this is where Godot has sort of its way that kind of makes it a bit different, where it works on these levels it calls nodes, right? So when you make something, you usually are always picking up a node or something to do it, and then you're making childs of those nodes that you're building on and on and on. And your scripts are basically coming from nodes and being ways that you can actually create script and stuff for how nodes function. And for scripting with Godot, it has its own language, which I will show later on in a bit, to show some resources and stuff that are really good for learning a bit more about it. But basically, the language of Godot, I can basically sum up as basically like Python. If you've used Python before, then it's not going to be that big of a jump. It's a very easy programming language. Of course, they also have capacities to do, I believe it was C#. I think it might have been. It's one of the C languages. I think it's C#, where, yeah, thank you. They can code in if you want like lighter code, or if you have something that like their script can't really do for you. Any myriad of programming reasons, you have that as an option at any point, really, working with Godot. And I'm not entirely certain, but I think there are people who make some other ways that you can kind of get other scripts to kind of work with it. That's more technical, kind of weird side that I'm not much of into. Because personally, The Godot script, this works perfectly fine. It works for what you need it to. If you tell it, I want to make a person jump, it will like tell them to jump. But here's some of the code. Here's a little README too, the person even gave us. See, this is how useful the community is. They always give you READMEs and things like this. But if we can go over here, Godot has it where there are basically two different ways onto which it can screen and function things. So there's the 2D, because originally Godot was primarily focused on 2D games, right? And their stuff on 3D and stuff has improved a lot though. So I would basically argue that like in terms of 3D and 2D, Godot is like equally good in both those. 2D was its bread and butter back in the day, but 3D is still like really competent and can really hold its own. Like here we are. Here's a little 3D space we got here. Look at those little guys. Look at them little guys. Aren't they just amazing? Anyway, so this is one node right here. So as you see, there's a whole node for the level, right, as a whole thing. So the sub nodes will then create like this, for example, this is our node just to handle UI and stuff. And then you have like here player. So we make a node that's like for the player in terms of their level. And we then create what are these, which are character tactics pawns is what they like to call them in this. But basically the classes, these are like character body 3D. There's a word for it. Where essentially this node's primary thing is it's set up being used as a body of some type for the character, for as a character. That can be as an NPC, that could be the player character, or whatever else you can imagine. Basically, that's how nodes work a lot. So like, for example, if I were like, I want a new node. First off, this is how you would work is you first go, okay, I want a node. And we're like, I want to put something in the 3D layer. So what's some 3D nodes we can do here? So we got all these cool nodes that we can work with. Do I want spring arm? I can do that. If I want to make a skeleton for a character, that's a way to sort of be able to figure out like they can get hit somewhere or they can have actual physics and ragdolling and stuff like that. That's what you would use would be this node right here. And raycasting, it's also pathing, collision shapes, camera. I mean, basically nodes for a lot of stuff that you can imagine you would need is going to be in here. Additionally, you have 2Ds over here, which has loads of other stuff. One of my favorites that I've learned is tile maps. With how Godot handles tiling on a 2D plane, it has a lot of nodes and stuff set up that you can like really quickly set up a tile system and everything and just start running with it, right? I might have it in my other project, like my one I've been like a little bit tweaking on and working on. I'll look into that in a moment. But yes, that is the sort of nodes and how it functions. And let's see if this thing still runs. We'll see if it can still run. Ah, it runs. Here we are. So here we are. That little bunch of weird, ugly blue sprites is now an actual game. Whoa, that's amazing. And so, you know, you can, like move here, blah, blah, attack him, blow this guy up. Yeah, blew up that guy. Woo! And then like this guy comes over here. He has no limit speed. He can't go that far. He goes over here. Blah blah whatever. And you basically do that. And I think I have to do these real quick. This is one limitation you can see already with it is that like, there's no like obvious like way to like just be like, hey, I don't want to move or attack. So you get stuck where you have to do this. And now you have AI we see here that's like actually fighting and my archer's fucked. They're dead. They fucking died.
Holy shit, he's dead.
That archer's fucking dead. It's so joven for them. They're not recovering from that one. Let's see. But yeah, here we have like, we can set up where terrain knows which difference. Oopsie, you gotta put this guy over here. Or this guy, I don't know, down here. Can he attack down here? Let's see. Oh, he can. That's really cool. He can attack down here. Oh, wow. 20 points. That's insane. Let's throw an attack right here. Kill that skeleton. Yeah. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Okay, I never said I was good at the game. I want to make that clear. But yeah, here's our skeleton mage. We'll just kill this guy, I guess. We'll do weight. The chemist. What's the chemist going to be able to do? Who knows? Either way, I won't go on too long about it. You can kind of see exactly how the game functions. And so essentially with all those nodes that you saw there are basically what creates this on top of the scripting, right? So, we have this camera and all that. Camera is also a node, as you probably saw earlier in there. Camera 3D is a node in of itself, which allows you to just quickly set up a camera and just have it exist in the 3D space to tell, okay, here are your mappings, go off, go crazy. And it works pretty well. And that's one of the great things about Godot is it has a lot of the basic building blocks that you can like throw it and run it and then get to the juicy stuff where you look at this and you go, oh my God, how do I make a UI that says end turn? How do I do this? And that's where you spend all your sleepless nights working on that one issue. Sadly, Godot cannot suddenly fix that, but it is what it is. And here, let's fix it like this. But yes, and here are those different things. So interesting enough, tactics camera, as we see here, actually gets used as a character body 3D. So probably what is happening with it, let's see if we can look at the script here and see if we can figure out what it's doing. Interesting. Okay, so we have a function here. And so in a weird way, it's being treated as if like it's a character that you're playing from and you're following around for the movement of it, which is pretty nifty. That's one way you could definitely implement a camera. But of course, there's also like camera 3D, like we talked about earlier, which here we'll take a look at it real quick just to see what kind of looks like when you open up one. Where did it go? There it is. Oh, camera 3D, look, it has more on it. A few overrules for AR and VR apply, such as location tracking. That's another thing too. Godot's used a lot for VR stuff. In fact, I know one of the labs here at Auburn, in fact, uses Godot for its VR work. So, if you're making a VR game, it's actually not a bad choice. It's actually is used and kind of does work. But yeah, so we have camera 3D here. You're like, how do I edit this node? Well, you got your script, right? But if we look here on the right, we have what's known as the inspector, which basically allows us to look into its categories, and we can do all the different stuff like that. I won't get too hard to the nitty gritty because that gets to like documentation and everything like that. Because every node has its own different little quirks in documentation, and what does this thing mean, and what does that thing mean? Which I think that's a good spot to pivot over to here, which we will go into as documentation. My ad blog is up to date. That's good, guys. All right. So here's like Godot docs. I will highly recommend if you are ever like, how do I do anything on Godot? Go here if you are like a reading learner, and even if you're not a reading learner and you don't know, go to here because this is made by the people who made it. And to be very blunt, this is probably some of the best documentation you're going to find on software. Like it is in depth. And you're like, how do I get started? They have their own whole set of documentation here. They go, here's this prerequisite that you need to do. Here's all this. What are the contents? Oh, look at these contents. There's more. Whoa, creating an enemy, the main game screen. What is this? And then here's the whole fucking manual where we go, oh, I need 3D stuff. We're going here, like, oh, I need 3D stuff over here. Yeah, ooh, crazy. And of course, if you ever just don't know, Google always works. So I go like, go to 3D camera. Bam! Godot doc. Camera 3D. Wow, there's all stuff about the node. And here are all the attributes that it has, the properties, the methods, enumerations, property descriptions, like the whole shebang. If there's a technical question, these documentations are going to have it. They're going to be your best friend learning Godot. And finally, I think the other thing I'll have in terms of the resource is I think I'm going to have to see if I can remember it right. I think it was this, was it? No! MGL not available. Okay, I believe this is it. I think it's learn to code from zero with Godot. Basically, it's if you like interactive kind of programming learning things, it's a thing set up so that you can learn GDS script and basically like learn it. It makes the assumption that's from zero. So if you already know a bit of programming, it's going to be a little bit annoying in the first part where it's like, what's a variable? And you're like, I know what a variable is, man. Shut up and tell me what are the weird things that you do. Because programming languages, they're like that. They get weird sometimes. I want to know what makes you freaky. So basically, That's a question we all have when we open up a programming language. Don't lie to me. If you tell me that's not the first thing in your head when you're like trying to figure out a programming language. Exactly, exactly. I'm not afraid to say it, I have courage. Let's see here. I think one of the project was, there we go. Don't save. I don't intend to do. So we go back to project manager, and I believe this is mine. I'm going to show off a little bit of that tile mapping thing, give you a showcase of kind of one of the cool features of it that I really like. Unless this is not it. There's non-zero chance this is not it. I think this is not it. Whoops. It may be on my other computer. Actually, the more I think about it, it's on my home computer. I think I put this one in here when I finally decided to like put it in there and then I forgot to. My apologies for that. But actually, I'll go back in and I'll quickly showcase kind of like setting up of tile map and stuff like that. So it's a 2D game. So we're gonna get a root node of 2D. And then I'm going to want to get my tile set up. So I'm going to get tile map out. We'll get that set up. And here we have tiles over here. And automatically Godot is like pretty good at like if it needs something, it'll tell you. So it'll be like, that is a tile map node has no tile set resource. I'm like, what's a tile set resource? And well, I need to get tile set property. So let's make, well, let's see his tile set property. So, oh, where did it go? There it is, tile set. We need a new tile set, which I don't think I actually have one on me, but essentially what a tile set looks like is it's essentially a big picture that you put a bunch of what your tiles are. So you have like in one square, like what your dirt tile is, then like your metal floor, then like your wall, then whatever is going to be a tile in your game, you put it on there. And you would then load it into here. And this is where the tiles would be, right? And one really cool thing with Godot's tile map feature is that you can set up patterns and stuff like that. So if it's like, you have like, let's say you're making like a building, right? Rimworld Colony Sim type shit, where you have to have your walls, and then I have to have my door, and then I have to have the floor inside. It's like, God, I hate having to manually put down all this. Why can't I just do it really quick? It's the same pattern, right? Put it in the patterns. Quickly just put together, just be like, this is the pattern of it. Click that pattern and just go, boop, bam, pattern gets put on there. Exact same way, exact same time. And just those kinds of things. Godot is very much a system I would say has a lot of really good quality of life features. Let's see, is there anything else? I believe so. Yeah, I believe that's most of the ground in terms of stuff and questions, a kind of an introduction to how Godot works and kind of how its functions and ideas and philosophy goes. Any questions? Anyone got questions? No? Well, I guess I have covered everything then. That is an intro to Godot. And again, if you ever end up being like, how do I do this weird thing? Again, documentation is going to be your best friend every single step of the way. And also like loads of YouTube videos, an absurd amount, especially after the debacle with Unity. There's been a huge amount of people who've been making content and stuff just around Godot. So there's a lot of resources out there. It's not like the ye olde days where it was like a really low and small engine. Now it's very much a competitive engine that can do basically, if you can imagine Unity can do something, I would probably say about 99% of the time, Godot can do just as well on it. So yes, that's what it is. I am the treasurer, so if you have dues or anything, please tell me. You have dues, please come to me.
Okay,
I'm the only one that gets money, okay? You're not the officer.
Okay.
that gets money. We're not gonna keep up your embezzlement scheme, okay?
hold on a second. Okay, so next week is the Unity tutorial that I'll be giving. If you're interested in that, bring your laptop and I will go through all of its systems. So we'll make a short game in an hour. If you weren't here, we have changed the November 11th meeting to a dev talk. we have some people from the AAA industry who are gonna get on a Zoom call with us, and you can have, if you want to prepare some questions for them, there'll be a time for you to ask them and all that. But yeah, that's about it for today. If you want to meet in your groups and just stay in this room for as long as you want, you're welcome to do that. Merch.